Carrying on from the last video where I spoke about how I sourced a property and took that through to the negotiation stages. Now we're on to the conveyancing side and the more legal element. We're just really going to be concentrating on the lease extension and what I had to do to go through that. Not many lenders, if any, will lend on a leasehold that's fallen below 80 years. You can either purchase them in cash or you can purchase them through some sort of creative finance. If you're looking to do this, definitely get hold of a mortgage broker. But on this occasion, I purchased with cash. Now, in every standard purchase, you're going to have to go through the conveyancing process. This is where the purchaser and the seller both hire a solicitor. They go through searches, reply to inquiries on the property throughout the process until every party is happy and you can confirm an exchange and completion date. However, with this property, as I need to extend the lease, I have to involve a legal professional or solicitor that is an expert or well-trained, well-versed with lease extensions. So there's two sides. You use a conveyancing solicitor and a lease extension specialist. I ended up using the same firm, so the same law firm for both, but there were different people in the law firm that I dealt with. I would advise to do this if you can, and this is just because the conveyancing solicitor and the lease extension solicitor will have to converse quite a lot throughout the transaction. So naturally, if they both work for the same company, it's going to be a lot easier for them to communicate throughout the process. It's important to note though that these solicitors do not actually value the premium or the price of the lease. You have to go and get that done from a surveyor. So that's another specialist, even more money, right? To get the lease priced, or in the more legal terms, to get the lease premium, you have to hire an external valuer. Make sure that this valuer is RICS qualified, so they're a member of the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. I actually ended up getting recommended someone from the solicitor that I was using. Don't just take this for gospel though. Do your own research on the surveyor and the solicitor that you're going to use. Don't just take the solicitor's recommendation if they give you one. I did my own research on this person, and then I also looked into other surveyors too. I looked into case studies that they've done, and I spoke to recent clients of theirs to see if they were happy with the work that they'd carried out. At the start is to come round and give you the premium of the lease, or their valuation of the premium of the lease. They'll give you a bottom line figure and a top line figure. The bottom line figure is what they entered the negotiations with, and then the top line figure is what you should expect to pay as a maximum. The figures I was given for this particular property were £9,000 for the bottom line figure that we'd enter the negotiations with, and £12,000 for the top line figure, which is the maximum I should be expected to pay. I'll come to what I actually paid a little bit later on in the video, but I can tell you that it wasn't between those brackets. So once the surveyor came out and priced the lease for me, that price was then passed over to my solicitor and also passed over to the freeholder's solicitor. Whilst this is all going on in the background, my conveyancing solicitor is speaking with the leaseholder's conveyancing solicitor about the actual purchase. The reason why we're sorting out the lease extension now is because the current leaseholder has to assign the benefit of extending the lease to me on completion. Whilst I'm a purchaser, I have no legal right to request from the freeholder that I want the lease extended. Only the current leaseholder can do this. Say this is completion date, everything's working up until the point where completion date is met, and on that day, the benefit is assigned to me to extend the lease on the day that I officially own the property. So once the premium had been valued by my valuer, that premium is then passed on to my lease extension specialist solicitor, and they draw up a section 42 notice and serve that to the freeholder. It will contain the lease premium amongst some other things like the actual length of the term that I want to extend the lease by. That price is reviewed by the freeholder, and then they come back with a counter price, and it's basically negotiating from my bottom line to the freeholder's top line until we meet in the middle. Once the freeholder receives the section 42 notice, they've instructed their valuer, they've instructed their solicitor. They get 2 months to serve a counter notice. If they don't serve a counter notice within that time, then everything that was included in the original section 42 in terms of the lease premium and the term that we want to extend the lease by is deemed as acceptable. So normally the freeholder will go right up to that maximum amount of 2 months before they serve the counter notice. The counter notice will include a counter premium. So if they're doing it right, the freeholder's valuer will come back with as high a premium as they can. They'll also include potentially a different term extension, but on this occasion with mine, they were quite happy with the 90 years that we originally wanted, but they did come back with a different premium. Once the counter notice has been served by the freeholder, that's when their valuer and my valuer get together and start negotiations. Legally, if they can't come to an agreement in 6 months following that counter notice, I'd have to take it to a tribunal. Nobody wants that. I won't go into what a tribunal is, but no one in the process actually wants to have to take it that far. But you do want it to be as little time as possible. You definitely don't want to push it up to 6 months like someone did. At the start of all of this, the aim is to get the lease extension working up towards the completion date, effectively the date that it's assigned to me. If I hadn't got the benefit of the lease assigned to me on completion, there's a legal requirement that you have to have owned or leased the property for 2 years before you can actually serve that or request that from the freeholder. So you go through a process that's a little bit more expensive to get the benefit of the lease extension assigned to you. The time between exchange and completion is determined by the conveyancing side, but is needed by the lease extension side. And between exchange and completion, my lease extension specialist makes sure that the benefit of extending that lease is assigned to me. Quite often the time between exchange and completion can be very short. You can even get it done on the same day, but we needed a little bit more breathing room, so we allowed ourselves about 10 days. The date the lease actually gets assigned to me officially is quite a little bit later down the line. After completion on the conveyancing side, the valuer on my side and the valuer on the freeholder side are still really in negotiation. Remember, they still get 6 months to come to a finalised price and finalised term. Now, largely due to the mismanagement on my part, this dragged on, and it dragged on right up to that 5-6 month limit. Again, it's a learning curve. I know what to do next time, but if you're thinking about doing it yourself, I highly advise being completely on it and trying to get that premium locked in and decided way before that 6 month time mark. Now, Mr. Novice over here naively assumed that my valuer would be properly on the ball constantly and in negotiations with the freeholder's valuer basically every day, you know, really pushing that process forward and trying to get it done as quickly as possible. And because of this, I wasn't on the ball, and I incorrectly assumed that they were going to be just as keen to get this over the line quickly as I was. I also didn't take into account that he's probably working with loads of other people and they're chasing him, but I wasn't. Next time I'm going to have to manage the process a lot better, because it took quite a long time to get the premium confirmed. This dragged out the process, and the financial implications of this were quite damning. Cost me a few extra £1,000 in total, really. So lesson learned, and if you're looking to do it yourself, just make sure you're on the ball. It's your job to manage, and it's your job to case manage everything and push everyone forward and make sure people are doing things as quickly as possible. Because we left it 5.5 months, we only really had a month to half a month to try and push in the negotiation, which left the ball in the court of the freeholders legal team, and they had all the power. Something that I would really point out here, and you'll only know this if you've done a lease extension before, so pay attention to this, because I'm sure you've got to experience it before you'd realise it. I did a lot of research online and I didn't see anything about this. I knew that I had to pay for the freeholders' legal fees. That's because I'm instigating the lease extension itself. What I didn't know, my legal fees were about 2.5 grand. And from what I saw online, I was expected to pay a similar amount. However, I had to pay nearly double that amount for the freeholders' legal fees. My solicitor told me that this does happen quite often, as the freeholder's solicitor knows I've got to pay their legal fees, and I don't get to see their legal fees until right at the end of the transaction. We are allowed for a completion date of 29th of June 2022. On the 17th of February 2023, a deed of lease extension was sent to me from my solicitor. This was something I had to sign to get the lease officially extended. Then finally, on March the 8th, 2023, my lease was officially extended. Honestly, it took about 9 months in total, which was 6 months too long, or it should have been a lot bloody quicker, put it that way. Now, remember, this is through COVID, and the land registry are mega backlogged with all the properties that we're trying to go through over that time. Everyone knows it went a little bit crazy, and they're actually 12 months backlogged right now. They're 12 months behind right now. To be officially registered with the land registry, have my name on the title deeds, and have the lease term extended on the title deeds, I've got to wait 12 months. Now, I can get this expedited, which in non-legal jargon means that I can get this bumped up the priority list, but that's only if I'm selling the property or if I'm remortgaging the property, because in those transactions, my name needs to be on the title deeds. However, I've been told by my solicitor that legally the transaction is complete, so as long as I can wait, there's nothing really to worry about. I'm not looking to sell the property just yet. Potentially I might be looking to remortgage as the price has increased quite a lot, and I'm going to drag as much money back out of that deal as I can and push it on to the next one. So I hope you took something from this, and if you're going to go and extend a lease, or if you're looking to purchase a property with a short lease, this is giving you some real value. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, especially comment if you've got any questions or if you think I've missed anything out. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.